Now, this applies to both sides.
I can vamp on this forever.
Okay, yes. Go
It's honestly, guys, there's been tons of surveys and research that's done on this, and it's agent mistake number one, that you're assuming that the most important thing is to the seller is basically their net proceeds. That is usually one of the top 3 or 5 things that are most important to them. It's never number one. You want proof? No problem. Look at how many iBuyers who are basically buying houses for wholesale, institutionalized, fully funded iBuyers, Zillow and others have come into the space. And that is all the proof you need to know that net is not the most important. The most important thing, it obviously varies, but most important thing to most people is the least amount of stress.
Yes.
That is the most important thing.
Which comes in many flavors. It could be the convenience factor, which is why iBuyers sometimes are able to buy it. It can be the closing date, the possession date. It could be the strength of the borrower. Who cares if somebody's, writing for that much over list if their lender letter stinks?
But it is truly a hassle factor thing.
It's mostly convenience.
And a stress thing. Because most, especially I would say, upper end sellers, generally speaking, are going to have bought and sold more times and probably have a little bit more of a, I was going to say aptitude. That's not the right word, but they're going to be a little bit more seasoned with dealing with financially stressful things. So they're not going to be as shaken by negotiating and whatnot. But if you're dealing with a vast majority of people, which you guys mostly are, ordinary sale price owners, you're not going to have somebody who has much tolerance at all for the selling process. And so if you can basically make it so that they have a stress-free process as possible, which you can do as a listing agent once you learn how to, that is ultimately, how you're going to win the listing, but also how you're also going to get referrals.
Yes, case in point, one of our coaching clients won a competitive situation. Why? Because it was between her and another gal, pretty much even Steven. Seller wasn't ready to sign yet, wanted to do some repairs to the house, get yada, yada. Okay. Our coaching client, alleviating the seller's stress, said, you don't have to schedule the carpet cleaner. You don't have to schedule the painter. You don't have to schedule the landscaper. I agree. We really need to do these things to get you highest and best. Why don't you just let me handle that for you?
Yep.
And I'm going to be in the neighborhood anyway. Let's bang out the paperwork so that I can do all this legally for you. We have our agreement together. That way I can take all that stress off of your back. Won it because she was willing to do those 3 extra phone calls and make the seller's life better.
So even if there was another agent who was discounting her commission and telling a higher price, agent A, our coaching client, who alleviates stress, won. And that's how you guys will always win too. That's so again, the price is rarely the most important thing. Now with that said, price matters. You can't, as part of our coaching system, you get our pre-listing pack. In our pre-listing pack, we always insist, though I'll say insist, though I doubt many of you, will allow me to insist that you do this, but this is really critical. And either those of you who don't understand the importance of this, you're going to lose more often than you're going to win. Always include a net sheet, always include the listing paperwork, along with the pre-listing pack and the seller survival guide, that list of questions we told you. Now, what a lot of agents will do, join our coaching program, and they're nervous about presenting a net sheet, nervous about presenting the listing paperwork because they don't want to seem too pushy. Well, the reality of it is what you're doing is you're going back to our point with regards to alleviating stress. The sellers want to see the paperwork ahead of time. The sellers want to get an idea of what the net sheet will look like ahead of time. And the way your net sheet should look like, and this is again part of our coaching program, is you should have a net sheet that has 3 different options: high, medium, and low. And the low is going to be, something that's ridiculous. I mean, not too low. So let's say the house is worth $400,000. Your low might be, worst case scenario, if it sells for $375,000. You think the house is worth $400,000, so